Homosexual men and women have been marching up and down Sydney streets and streets all around the world for more than 15 years, demanding their rights. The right to be free to pursue their own sexual inclinations without incurring discrimination from the wider society. And to date, it's been a long and largely unsuccessful battle. Right now, 2 men who admit to having sex together are liable to 14 years in Her Majesty's jails. But there have been signs of changes. In the early 70s, the Labor government in South Australia decreed that homosexuality was no longer a crime. And then last year, the Victorian Liberal government passed an act which listed what it called unnatural offences, and homosexuality was not among them. One of the strange contradictions in the drive for homosexual law reform is that most politicians here at State Parliament House don't consider the issue to be a political hot potato. I'm told, in fact, that many Labor ministers have taken the issue to public meetings to test electorate reaction. And they say the message almost universally is, people don't care what consenting males do in the privacy of their bedroom. It's a non-issue, or at least not a vote loser. Well, that was the word in 1980, but now in 1981, an election year, both sides of the House are desperate not to make a wrong move. And this is the man who's been sending the politicians to ground. George Peterson is proposing to tack on an amendment to the current rape law going through Parliament. His amendment would simply decriminalise adult homosexuality in this state.
Homosexuality being illegal is essentially a product of 19th century Victorian attitudes, which are totally out of place in a modern industrialised society. I feel it's a matter of civil liberties, basic civil liberties. I'm interested in civil liberties. I'm a member of the Committee of the Council for Civil Liberties, and what I'm particularly concerned about is that such laws are inevitably directed primarily against working people.
The law in New South Wales refers to the abominable crime of buggery or sodomy, and the repeal measure is to simply repeal that law, to omit it from our laws altogether, which would make it legal. So it doesn't refer to homosexuality in the actual law itself. Now that's what I'm opposed to, the act of sodomy.
Taking buggery as being one technique of homosexuality, that is what particularly annoys you, is it?
Well, the move in Parliament is to repeal that particular section. So I'm opposed to it being repealed because it's clearly taught in the Bible as something which is an abomination, which is a very strong word, and it means something which God, the Creator, hates.
Where is that said in the Bible?
In Leviticus, and the same teaching is referred to in Romans and Corinthians and in Jude and in other parts of the New Testament. So I could read Leviticus for you, reading from the King James Version, Leviticus chapter 18, verse 22, "Thou shalt not lie with mankind, as with womankind, it is abomination." It's a very clear-cut, black and white prohibition.
So what sort of support do you think that you've actually got now to get your amendment through?
Well, I think if members of Parliament were not worried about elections, there is no doubt about it, I'd have the overwhelming support of the Labor and the Liberal parties. I'm not so sure about the Country Party, but certainly I'd have the overwhelming support of all members of all parties in the New South Wales Parliament. However, what parliamentarians are frightened about is the result of elections, and it has been suggested to me on a number of occasions that if people in marginal seats vote for my amendment, the people who have a reactionary attitudes towards sexuality will in fact use their influence to turn votes against them.
But quite apart from the morals, whether Victorian, Christian, both or neither, how do people feel in 1981 about homosexuality? The last McNair-Anderson survey in 1978 showed a clear majority agreed with homosexual law reform. And so apparently did people in Sydney today.
Doesn't matter to me what they do.
No, I wouldn't object to it at all.
I don't feel too strongly about it one way or the other.
I wouldn't object to it. I think it's a good idea.
What do you think is the general community's attitude towards homosexuality now?
I think they're accepting it more than they used to.
No, I'd have no objection to it.
No objection.
If I had the opportunity, yes.
You would object to it?
Yes.
On what grounds?
What grounds? Well, because it's not natural.
I'm not, I don't want to get involved.
No, I don't hold with it at all, you know.
What do you object to about homosexuality?
Homosexuals.
How about you? Would you object to it being legalised?
No, I wouldn't.
Why not?
Well, I just wouldn't. I mean, they've got a right just like anyone else.
Wouldn't matter to me, I don't think.
I sure would. Why?
Just not for it.
I don't know much about it from New Zealand.
Oh, I don't know so much.
You don't?
Not being one, and I know quite a few of them, but...
Do you accept the homosexuals that you know?
Well, it's up to them, isn't it? I wouldn't worry about it all.
Do you think that the community generally is ready to accept homosexuality now?
I think most of them would be, yes.
What about your friends, for example? Do they accept homosexuals?
I think so.
Do you?
Yes. Everyone to their own, yes.
But popular feeling doesn't seem to be enough. Gay rights campaigner and university lecturer Lex Watson is disillusioned with the RAN government's pussyfooted approach to the issue.
Well, we don't really know what Cabinet's position on it is, and I wish we did know, but the rumour seems to be around, and it's been reported in the press, that they're going to take a procedural motion to try and stop debate on it. And that's a great concern to us, because they're going to try and put it out of sight without actually voting against it. And what we've been saying to everybody is that a move against the bill, even on a procedural grounds, will be and can only be seen as a vote against the bill itself. I mean, a procedural motion is a substantive motion in this case, because it will leave the inconsistency there.
Does it disappoint you that when the government and its members obviously realise that the legalisation of homosexuality is long overdue, that it's difficult to get everybody to come to the party and to pass your amendment?
I find it most disappointing, particularly as in Victoria it was actually introduced by a Liberal government with the full support of the Labor opposition, and even the Country Party there gave it only opposition on the voices. There was no actual vote.
What do you think your chances are of success?
It depends upon the amount of pressure that comes from outside, particularly from the gay movement and particularly from the Labor movement, on the members of the Labor Party. Also the pressure of small L Liberals and people concerned with civil liberties on both the Labor and Liberal parties. I've no doubt that if enough pressure is kept up, that the people who want to retain the existing legislation, the people steeped in 19th century Victorian sexuality, will be revealed for what they are, a very small minority who make a noise which is quite disproportionate to their real strength.
Peterson points out that when the new rape law passes the Parliament, homosexual acts will still earn 14 years jail, whereas homosexual rape will only earn 7.
Well, that's because of the foolishness of our Attorney-General. He introduced the new bill, and I believe there may even be a deception in the whole plan at the moment, that he, not being a fool, a very smart lawyer, has introduced one bill which makes the other older bill, the Crimes Act, appear to be inconsistent, and this has given what appears to be some logic in now raising next Tuesday the homosexual repeal matter. I'm wondering whether the whole thing's been planned stage by stage, with Mr Walker pulling all the strings.
But whatever the lobbies for and against the controversial Peterson proposals, the fact of an alive and well homosexual culture in Sydney is undeniable.
There can be little doubt about the strength of the gay movement in Sydney. Oxford Street, Darlinghurst, has long been a centre for gay nightclubs, and more recently local hotels have been doing a booming business with their largely gay clientele. And even Playboy magazine, in its latest edition, has an article entitled "Sydney, the Gay Capital of Australia." It maintains that homosexuals here have made a community within a community, and it claims that Sydney now has 5 gay discos, 3 gay wine bars, 6 gay hotels, and a staggering 44 gay services and clubs, and it maintains that figure is growing week by week.
A full-time newspaper growing out of the gay rights movement in what many refer to as the homosexual capital of Australia. Homosexual bars have boomed in Sydney in the last 3 years. There's a homosexual sauna parlour and a bevy of gay rights lobby groups. But neither public opinion nor the sheer fact of a strong homosexual culture in Sydney is swaying the politicians. Nationwide understands that a slight majority of Liberal politicians is in favour of the Peterson Amendment, but that members of both the government and the Country Party are opposed. Nationwide today rang 35 front-bench state politicians to get their voting intentions. 13 were unavailable. And of the 22 remaining, most ran for cover. 11 said no comment or said their decision had not yet been made. And only 3 out of the 22 who answered, only 3 said they would vote for the Peterson Amendment.